Hello all, welcome to Embedded Linux Learning Point, Linux tutorial, basics of how to work with Linux. In this episode, we will see how do you choose the right Linux distribution for your need and install the Linux desktop. Okay, let's start with uh, choosing the Linux distribution. So as you know, Linux distribution is an operating system made from a software collection that includes Linux kernel and often a package management system. So this is basically what Linux distribution is. So you have a Linux kernel and a package management system plus the other softwares, other layers of softwares. So what we intend to do is choose the one that works best for us. So if you go to this page in the Wikipedia, so here you can see there are a lot of Linux distributions that are available for us to choose. There are plenty, and there could be many more. So what we see is there are all of these different uh, distributions have forked out from a base systems. So the first one is Slackware, and the most what we know is a Debian distribution. Also, we have something called uh, Red Hat, which is, as you know, this is something uh, a proprietary enterprise version of Linux, and you can also see prominent one which is Arch Linux. That's suitable for someone who is know-how of how to use Linux. I will roll out the option of Arch Linux because it needs a little bit of expertise on Linux. So since we are starting as a beginner, let's not get into Arch. Also, let's not get into the Red Hat because it's enterprise version. Of course, pure Red Hat is enterprise. Yeah, you can see here Red Hat Enterprise. This line, but others are pretty much uh, like similar to other distros. Okay, there are so many, and here you might have heard about Fedora. Yeah, let's see Fedora Core and Fedora. This is also one of the prominent uh, distributions used for desktop. Even I saw somewhere that even the Linux tutorials uses Fedora. Okay, so I know this is a little bit mm, difficult to choose which one to use for your needs. So what I found is if you Google it out, choosing Linux, choosing Linux distribution. So choosing Linux distro. So we have I found something called distro chooser. Distro chooser. So I found this is a very useful tool. Here it asks you a set of questions, so you can uh, navigate or you can answer a few questions and then it'll appropriately I would say suggest different uh, distributions that you can try out. So let's start the test and see where we stand. So some distributions are made for a special purpose, for some daily use, what you need. So in our mm, case, so what we want is a daily use where we want to try out few things and we don't want to complicate ourselves. So let's say I will use the daily use distribution and I want to use Linux for anonymous or web browsing. No, that's not the case. I prefer distribution which is supported by gaming publishers. That's not our need. Based on your need, you can choose the options that are available here. I want to execute all programs in isolated area. The user is visually not, we're not the, I'm not in that category. Has a live mode, can be started using the disk or USB stick to test it out. That's okay. So we can go with the actual installation of the distribution. The next question is, how do you rate your proficiency using a computer? So I often need help from others to fix problems with my computer. So this is basically something goes wrong in Linux. So do you have all the expertise to solve yourself in this case, or you can troubleshoot yourself and fix it. So probably since we are beginners, I'll choose I need help basically, I would say even from the community or the internet. So I would go for this. How do you rate your knowledge of Linux itself? So here it is like having little or no knowledge about Linux. I've already used Linux for some purpose, good understanding about Linux operating system. So here, since we're starting it out, so I'll choose have a little or no knowledge about Linux. So with this option, it would suggest something which is easy to use. So like similar to how your Windows or Mac is. And how many settings do you wish to tweak by yourself during installation? How many configuration variables should be filled with default values? So here the first option is I want to use the default preset values in installation. It's similar to the Windows installation, typical. So and I want to choose the settings by myself. Here you can choose configure the disk space and things like that, formatting the disks and stuff like that. I used to do this before, but I think now, for the sake of a beginner's perspective, I will choose all the default I want. The third option is I want to configure as much as possible using graphical applications. Yeah, this could be uh, for someone who have an experience with Linux and then trying out a different distro. So that's how it is. If you encounter Arch Linux, this is basically where you configure the whole system by yourself, pretty much. And it is important to know how old your computer hardware is, since some distributions want to run on old computers. Ours is okay. I can say 64-bit, and I think they should be okay. And if your PC is computer is not that powerful, or it has support only 32-bit, there are distributions which support only 32-bit. So maybe that is the reason for this question. And some distributions prefer articles in wikis for troubleshooting. What do you prefer? I prefer asking for help. I'm able to solve my problem using guide from wiki pages or tutorials. I think that's fine. I'll go with asking for help. There's no harm in asking. It's like what kind of UI or Windows like user interface or prefer Mac like user interface. I think it's okay. Anything is fine. I'll go with the Mac one, or maybe I'll skip this question because we want to have a feel of Linux. The most distributions are free. Some distributions offer additional support for one-time fee. I prefer use a free to use distribution. So let's get it there. And different distributions pre-install different amounts of software. Some install a complete suite of basic programs to work out of the box. Other distributions offer only a base install to then let the user install what programs they want to use. So let's say we prefer to choose basic program installed, or it's like what comes with the installation, comes with the distribution. So it's like I prefer distribution shipping all the basic programs I need to start working immediately after installation. So here it means I don't have to configure any tool, thing like that. I have a system which I can straight away work on. The license ideology of distribution is a continuous debate. There are distributions using mostly free licenses, others use non-free software. I'll go with the free license as much as I can. I think the second option is I'm fine with a non-free licensing as long as my system works. That's fine. Some distributors use online services to improve the user experience. This may affect the privacy of the user. That is, the user can be tracked when using such online features. I think that's fine. I do not want this. Improve my user experience. This is something where you give feedback if something goes wrong or something like that. My questions. There are many ways to administrate a Linux distribution. Example, to install software. I want to install software program using the kind of app store. Yeah, this is something which we would do. And we want to install software mostly using terminal commands. I think since I've chosen this little or no knowledge about Linux, so that's fine. But anyways, every distribution kind comes up with installation of tools using terminal commands. Okay, and some distributions offer fast updates, which can affect the system stability. What do you prefer? If I prefer a stable update, so here is something. Uh, Here it means how the distribution maintains the supported softwares in their repository. So that's the idea. Let's choose the stable versions. And if you want to prefer the fast updates, like if you want to be at the bleeding edge of development of these applications, then you can choose the fast updates. Let's see what it basically suggests. So you can see the first option is Zorin OS, and the second is the Linux Mint. It's Ubuntu. Okay, maybe I'll go the first. Zorin is a beginner-focused distribution with Windows-like user interface. And the Linux Mint is a Ubuntu-based distribution with pre-installed proprietary components such as multimedia codecs and things like that. So it also comes with all the needs, tools that we need, like mm, the text editor, the terminal, and things like that. Elementary OS is an Ubuntu-based distribution focused on elegant and fast user experience. Okay, OpenSUSE aims to deliver a stable and user-friendly distribution, mostly for end users. That's fine. Solus. Solus OS is a rolling release distribution which started as a Chrome OS clone. Okay. Then you have Kubuntu. Ubuntu is a Ubuntu-based distribution with a pre-installed KDE as a desktop. K here means KDE, the desktop application. The Pop OS is an Ubuntu-based distribution powered by Genome. Desktop environment customized from a System 76. That's fine. So here you can see most of the distributions that it suggests are Ubuntu. So as if you Google through, you will understand Ubuntu is quite popular, and that's what even I am using in my system. So Ubuntu is a distribution built by the Canonical company, Canonical, yeah, which is based on Debian distribution. And Xubuntu is an Ubuntu-based distribution powered by lightweight X-Face desktop environment. And Ubuntu Mate, I think this is one. The Lubuntu is an Ubuntu-based distribution powered by lightweight LXQt desktop environment. Maybe I have to think something which is lightweight because I want to run on a virtual machine, so that I have full control of the system. And if something goes wrong, I don't want to lose everything I have, at least in my host system. So that's the idea. I want to use something which is light, and yet it also is powerful enough for our need. PC Linux OS is a man Mandrake-based distribution focused on the user-friendly interface. Well, okay, the Fedora, as I said, is a distribution which focuses on free software. Fedora is released without long-term support, shipping a new version every 6 months. Okay, Debian, Rocky Linux. Okay, there are so many. So what I understand is Linux here for a beginner, it's just that many of the Ubuntu based distributions. Okay, see it says the not suitable for beginners. As I say, Arch is rolling based distribution based on KISS principle. And you can see that we cannot recommend distribution because it requires further knowledge about computers. Installation is done using terminal, not suitable for beginners. So even in the future, I want to try this. I, when I do it, I'll surely show you guys how to configure Arch and use it. Okay, so if I understand, Ubuntu based distributions are good to go for a beginner. So what I'll do is I'll go to Ubuntu based distros, so that I get a little bit more. Okay, I'll say Ubuntu flavors. I had visited this before. You can see different flavors that comes. As we said before, Ubuntu, it gives the KDE and Plasma desktop. It just looks like this, and the Ubuntu looks like this. So one advantage with Ubuntu is L stands for lightweight. So Ubuntu is designed to be a simple, easy to use system that is light, fast, and modern. So that's the distro that I am targeting to use. Let's see if I can get something different. Ubuntu but G is a product of real Ubuntu flavor. We combine the simplicity and elegance of the G desktop environment. Okay, this is based on the G desktop environment. The Ubuntu Kylin. Ubuntu Kylin project is tuned to the needs of Chinese users. Okay, that's not our case. Ubuntu Mate is stable, easy to use operating system with a configurable desktop environment. It is ideal for those who want most out of their computers and prefer traditional desktop metaphor. Okay, it looks like this. Ubuntu Studio. Ubuntu Studio is pre-configured for the content creation of all kinds, whether you're an audio engineer, musician, graphic designer, photographer, video producer, or streamer. So this basically has tons of tools for the creators, the designers. Xubuntu comes with which is stable, light, and configurable desktop environment with a lot of concentration for usability. Whether you have a high-end computer or even a moderately older machine, Xubuntu is able to provide with you smooth and usable desktop experience. Xubuntu has expansive list of customization options to make a desktop if you want. Okay, that's fine. So maybe I think I should switch between Xubuntu or Ubuntu. Okay, so let me just I'll just do a comparison versus Ubuntu. So people have done this, looks like, and let's choose one of these. And I would choose something which requires the least amount of RAM and things like that. Okay, so comparison between Ubuntu and Ubuntu. Ubuntu requires at least 222 MB of RAM, but Ubuntu needs at least 512 MB. Okay, RAM for proper functioning. Installation of Ubuntu requires 16 MB, so 160 MB. Ubuntu requires 256 MB of RAM. Ubuntu is based on LXD. Ubuntu is XFIS. Ubuntu is lighter and faster as compared to Okay, so what I am boiled down to use is Ubuntu. So I will go with Ubuntu for the installation. Okay, so let's go to the top. Okay, so get Ubuntu. As you can see, so this is the web page for Ubuntu distro. You can straight away go to get Ubuntu because you can't miss this button. And there are two things. One is uh, there are different distros that it basically ships, the versions. Normally, it is based on Ubuntu. Whenever the Ubuntu releases this stable version, the Ubuntu also gets updated or released. So what we have currently is 22.0.4.1 LTS. Jammy Jellyfish. This is what the latest the Ubuntu distribution is also called. And what we have is 64-bit desktop environment, and we download this. Okay, so I think it'll take some time. Okay, now we have the Ubuntu, sorry, the Ubuntu downloaded, and we can start installing this. So what I suggest is you can try out, even if you're on Windows or Mac, you can try out this in your virtual machine. It could be VMware, or it could be the, the the other virtualization tools. One more example is VirtualBox. What I am using is Virtual Manager with the QEmulator. I felt this is better than those things. Okay, so for that, here in the Virtual Machine Manager, I need to click this option to basically create new VM. So we have an ISO image, so that we have downloaded, and we would install from there. And let's select that. We have it in the downloads. Choose volume. Okay, choose operating system that you're installing. Automatically detected from the installation media. Detecting it's not detected, so I will go with Buntu 22. I think that's fine. Type selecting similar distro version. Okay, maybe since it is, that's fine. Let's automatically delete. See if it. Oh, okay. I'll say Ubuntu 22. Okay, this is based on Ubuntu. That's fine. Forward. Okay, memory is 4 GB because it needs only 5 to 2 to 40 MB or so. That's fine. I have allocated 2 CPUs and create a disk image. So I will choose, let's say, 100 GBs. My desktop has 1 terabytes. That's okay. And then go forward. Name I will choose here is Ubuntu 22.04. Configuration before install. This is what it meant. So that's fine. Let's not configure it. Everything is auto configured as we install the Windows operating system. Network default is net. That's fine. With that, we'll be able to access internet. Okay. Oh, did not. Okay, that's fine. The virtual machine is now being created. Allocation of disk storage and retrieval of installation images may take a few minutes to complete. Okay, so try or install Ubuntu. So what I will do is I will straight away go install it. You can see it's loading. Previously, it was not this easy to install Linux. You have to configure everything manually. But after the distributions adopted this, I would say, adopted to basically ease the use of Linux. Well, now the system is loaded into your RAM, so I can start the, the installation with this. Install Ubuntu with a double click. As you can see, it gives you a nice graphical user interface. So I chose American English, that's fine. Then I choose next. Asia, Kolkata, yeah, this is where I'm located in India. Of course, not in Kolkata, but in Bangalore, that's fine. This is the time zone. And default English is US. I'll go with the defaults, that's fine. This is the keyboard layout. In this, I can choose the full screen. Go to next. I think this is a virtual disk. It's fine. Delete all the currently persistent on the selected storage device. That's fine. So after file, no need. So after this, I'll have 100 GB. The file system is ext4. That's fine. Full name, I'll choose ELP. What's the name of your computer? ELP standard. Don't know all of this. Password, I'll choose. Okay. So log in automatically without asking the password. Choose this. You can do this without this. Every time you log in, it'll ask for a password. That's fine. And now you are ready to install. You see, the installation is under these changes. That's fine. Now we can see that how easy it is to install Linux. It's as easy as installing Windows, and it will take some time. Well, now that it is installed, you see how easy it is to install Linux. As easy as installing Windows or any other operating system. Well, now we have installed the system. Let's restart it and um, let's let's start. you can see the logs. Of course, you can. Okay, it's restarting. Okay, now the computer is up. I'll just use this for a moment. You can see I'll just go to accessories, and then I think I will have a terminal. Where is terminal? This is the first time I'm using this. Okay, here is Q terminal. Okay, this is the terminal application. And if you see, I can choose uname -a. It gives the Linux ELP standard. This is the kernel version 15.5.15.0.43. Ubuntu. Okay, I think that's fine. So now the system is installed and we are ready to use the system. As you see, it's that easy to install the Ubuntu or Ubuntu based systems. I think the installation is fine and we are ready to progress with this installation. Okay, so now that we have uh, chosen the distribution that we want to use and we install the same. Thanks for watching.